Good morning, this is Dr. Schill. I'm a board-certified internist and a board-certified obesity physician. Today I'm here to talk to you about an article published in the journal Nature Aging, and it relates to a study conducted at Stanford University. The study showed over a period of between 1 and 7 years that people who participated in the study aged not gracefully like we all might think a little bit at a time, but instead aged quite a bit in their mid-40s and again in their early 60s. And the researchers tracked a bunch of different molecules to figure out how this was happening and what it meant. And they said that these two cluster points were pretty consistent across the board, the places where people showed aging and signs of aging. So what did that look like? Well, Professor Michael Snyder reports, he was our lead author on the study, and he reports that in our mid-40s, the molecules that support cardiovascular disease were the ones that changed most, as well as the ability to metabolize different things that go through our liver, like alcohol, caffeine, fats, different things like that. So we aren't able to burn and use those things and clear them out of our blood as easily as we are earlier in life. Now, in our early 60s, the changes start to affect our immune system. And this is pretty consistent with what I've said for years to my patients. Around the time we hit 65 and start transitioning to Medicare, our immune system becomes less and less effective. This study confirms that by following the molecules of the immune system and its ability to do more or less work as needed. We also apparently tend to break down and use carbohydrates less effectively as we age. So that's something that may affect your nutrition choices as you get into your 60s. You may need to cut back on the carbohydrates that you're eating in order to continue to power your body. Now, what I don't know from the study is, were they really good at controlling whether these carbohydrates were processed and highly refined, or if they were the kind of thing that you'd get out of the garden? So that's something that future research might need to look into. It may be that we're okay to continue eating the carbohydrates that come out of the ground and come out of the garden and come off of the tree. And my suspicion is that that's probably true. We find that these healthy things that come as close to the farm as possible are usually really, really good for our health. The other thing that they saw is molecular signs of reduced kidney function. Now, I don't think there are many doctors out there that will be surprised by this, but it is interesting to see that it happens in a cluster around our 60s. And, you have 2 kidneys, and you have to lose well over half of your kidney function before you start to see a dramatic decrease on the lab values. So this is interesting to support that. And we know that we lose a little bit of our kidney function every year as we age. Now, during both the mid-40s and the early 60s, we saw changes to the skin, bacteria, viruses, fungi, molecules, as well as to the muscles. Okay, we know that these are both periods where we need to start doing more. Remember, in previous videos, we've talked about muscle loss and that it starts at age 50, and you lose between 1 and 4% of your muscle mass every year. That's a good reason for you to work on building your muscle mass earlier than your 40s, so you have a little bit to give, and then especially during your 40s and beyond, so that you can do a better job of maintaining the muscle mass that you have. I think that's really important. So this was an interesting study, gave us a lot of information, but to summarize, we seem to have different periods in our life where we age quite a bit faster than the rest of the time. And what we're going to be working on in the scientific community over the coming years is, how do we address those specific periods of aging? I don't think we're ever going to be able to live forever, but how can we reduce the harm and the problems that occur in those ages? So for example, if cardiovascular disease starts to hit because of changes in our 40s, how can we make changes to reduce cardiovascular disease all along the way? I hope you enjoyed today's review, and join us next time for some more medical news.